kick off. Let's kick off with Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And just before we started recording, I said, okay, we need to stop talking because I felt like we were wasting some stuff that was good to talk about, which we probably would just have had to repeat anyway. And it was about Indiana Jones. And it was about, Sean, you kicked off by talking about your relationship to the Indiana Jones movies as they exist before this one was released. So go ahead, tell us about it.
Okay, well, what? So the whole story about, I did see the first Indiana Jones movie when it came out. And I wasn't too impressed. I mean, the thing is, what you got to think of as that age, and I've often had this conversation, there's films like, and they're sacrosanct films, there's films like your Ghostbusters, your Back to the Future, all those sort of things. I think I looked at, because I was of an age, I looked at those as children's films, if you know what I'm saying. So rather than what I'd been used to in the 1970s, with all...
You're like, there's no Jack Nicholson, it's not indie enough.
Yeah.
This isn't good.
So I wasn't too invested. So, but you wanted me to talk about the latest film? Or
No. This is still just talking about Indiana Jones because I feel like the way you come to this film, I think your previous relationship with Indiana Jones informs a lot about the way you come to this film.
Yeah, possibly. But I mean, maybe I need to revisit some of them, perhaps. Which when we come to the main conversation, I'll explain why. But so I wasn't really heavily invested. I remember the first one, and I remember the Ark of the Covenant with all the ghosty things coming out.
And the melty faces.
Yeah, but I'm blowed if I can remember any of the others. I don't think I've even seen them. Oh, I think there's probably one with Sean Connery as his dad or something.
That's the Last Crusade. That's the third one. The third one.
I can't remember. For the life of me, I can't remember what happened. Okay. I think there was some sort of car chase and. Yeah.
Okay, and now we go over to Holly. And Holly, so we talk about your relationship to Indiana Jones. So you just tried to do a rewatch of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but before you did the rewatch of Raiders of the Lost Ark, what was your relationship with Indiana Jones like?
Positive memories, but also mindful that I hadn't watched any of them in an indeterminate time period.
Yes.
So it had been some time, and the more I think about it, the more I think it may have been 20 years.
Yep.
So it was interesting revisiting because it was a sort of positive feel-goody feel, and I wanted to get my head in the right place because whilst I haven't seen it yet, I'm planning on seeing it. So I thought, that's fresh in memories.
Okay.
And I found it almost unwatchable. I actually stopped watching partway through, and as you know, I will watch literally anything repeatedly.
Yes.
I found it stilted, very sexist. I mean, very, very, very sexist, like eye-wateringly so. It's like, how did anybody make this?
I think this
really
this
quite
is
racist.
I think this is one of those. It was of its time.
Yes.
Because obviously with me being black, there's the thing of watching Indiana Jones movies, and when you. I'm going to try and not get too much into the weeds here, but like there's the kind of thing like when you're watching it, and there's a story I'll tell. I've already told you guys about it. That what happened in the film today when I was there with my daughter. That sort of like brings this point in. But when I think about the 3 Indiana Jones movies, I can't think of a black character. And it was very much the fact that they were made in the beginning of the 80s. They were made in the beginning of the 80s, and the films are set in like the 30s and the 40s. Only just sort of like, because there's the really, really famous scene in Indiana Jones where, you have that, they're supposed to be, I think, somewhere in North Africa, and then he's supposed to walk up, and then this guy shows up and has like this scimitar, and he's like, yeah, and does like all this sort of like thing where he's playing around with the knife, and then Jones just gains out the gun and shoots him. And you're like, and it's kind of like, that's one of those things that sticks in my head is like, well, the way they treat all the characters that are not white is kind of like, their scenery, their background. They are there to enable they and their countries are there to enable the swashbuckling adventures of the good old white man, and there is that element in them. Having said that, I do still enjoy the Indiana Jones movies, but a bit like what you were saying, Sean, it's kind of like, they're supposed to be sacrosanct, and everybody say once you talk about films, like, oh, Indiana Jones, yeah, you must have Indiana Jones. The first one I ever saw was Temple of Doom, because that was on TV like every Easter in Nigeria. So Temple of Doom was always on, and I actually thought that was the original before I actually started realizing that there was this whole timey-wimey thing of which one was released when and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't, and becoming a film buff, people would make all these references to the boulder coming down, and I was like, yeah, because I hadn't seen that one. And till today, I'm still not sure I have seen any of the Indiana Jones movies from beginning to end in one sitting. But all the stuff that happens in it is so much part of the public consciousness that I feel like I have. but a bit like with the Bond movies, which have a very much a lot of the same problems that you were mentioning, Holly. And I think that it's obvious that Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, I think that there's a shared DNA with Bond movies. Let me put it that way. There's a shared DNA with Bond movies, and a bit like with them, where you say, okay, what was the plot of that one? What was the plot of You Only Live Twice? Bond stops the bad guy.
There are attractive women.
Yeah, it's like, what was the plot of Temple of Doom? Indiana Jones gets the archaeological thingamajigger that does something magical.
Yep, and there were attractive women.
Yeah, and there was a different attractive woman in each film. Yes, there was. So yeah, there's that. They
weren't great with non-white characters. Again,
yes. Yeah. So okay. So this is all a long-winded way to say this is the baggage that we are all bringing to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Also, not to mention the fact that the fourth movie was rubbish. But
oh god, it was. No.
The fourth movie was actually just objectively bad. So, the second half led the film down the road. But anyway, so Sean, tell us about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. What is this? What